Hi guys, today we are going to launch a small app in Kubernetes. Before we start launching a Kubernetes app in Google Cloud, I just wanted to go take you through a small theoretical part of Kubernetes, just give you a basic understanding of Kubernetes. Kubernetes, also known as K8 in like tech world, and it's an open source system for automatically deployment, scaling, and management of containerized application. This is actually developed by Google for their internal use. In 2014, it make open source. Now you can actually launch Kubernetes in Google Cloud, AWS, as well as Azure. So the one of the main basic concept of Kubernetes is this. Is explained in this diagram. So basically, it has a part called node, and then something called inside the node, something called pod. Inside the pod, you have your containers like a Docker container. So in this situation, this class is explaining about how the structures work. You can see this node, and then inside the node you can see pod and then containers. So pods are individual meshing underlying infrastructure. Basically, whether it's a Python or whatever, you can consider as it's a virtual meshing, individual virtual meshing. And if you look at the pods, are smaller deployment unit inside the Kubernetes. So basically, it's inside tightly coupled with the container, so it can communicate between this between pod each other as well. So this is the basic concept of Kubernetes. I'm not going to go deep into like how then each node communicating each others and how auto scaling happen and things like that in this video. Let's start launching a small Hello World app in Kubernetes. So before I start, let me take you through the our Docker file and the app. So this is a small Flask app, just to say hello world, run on the host 0.0.0.0 and port 80. And if you take you to the Docker file, it's just the Python versions and the app, and copy the requirement file and install whatever inside the requirement file. Basically, in our requirement file is we have a Flask version, and then just launching the app. So before we start, let's open our Cloud Shell editor. So what we can do is that if you want to launch in your Cloud Shell editor in the Google, you can click here, then it's automatically activate new Cloud Shell editor, and then you can make it bigger from here. So let's I can leave that and I'll open the new one. So let me go to the new one. So I'm gonna say clear again, so all the information gone. If you wanted to upload your document to here, so basically I have already done. What you can do is you can upload them into your Google Cloud from here. So basically upload, download. If you want to upload a file, choose your file. Let's say I want to upload this one, and then just a requirement file, and then upload, click on upload, and that file will get uploaded. I'm going to share all of these files in my GitHub library so that you can download and upload them. I have already done that part, guys. So if I go to my project section, okay, so I'm already in the project section. Let me take to the so if I take you through to my if I look at my computer, I have like a project sections. If I go cd project and then my Kubernetes path, so that's where my files are, and then cd hello world. So this is where I have my all this docker app, docker file and app py here. So let me start creating the docker image. So this is a very similar simple command. You might be already know from the docker. So I'm gonna build my app first using this docker file and this app py. So let me start creating my app docker image. So I'm gonna say docker image, and then I'm gonna say docker build, and then -t, and then I'm gonna give up my Python let's call my Python app, and then dot. It will start creating the docker image. For me guys, it's quickly very fast, because I have already created this app docker image before this. That's why it's run very fast. For you, it might take a bit of a time to create this docker image. So after creating the docker image, what I'm going to do is I need to tag my docker image before we upload it to Google Cloud. So basically in Google Cloud, if you wanted to upload your images, keep your docker files, there's a place called image container registry. That's where you're going to upload your docker image. In a normal case, like you might be already aware of in a free internet version something called Docker Hub, which you can use as well. In our situation, since we are working on a Google Cloud, I'm gonna upload our Docker image to the Google image registry. So let me tag my image first. So I'm gonna say docker tag my Python app gcr io, and then your project name. So in my case, Google Cloud project name. You can copy from the same location, and then dash, and again your app name. So this command will tag your docker image. Now you need to push that image to a container registry in Google. So what I'm going to do, docker push gcr.io. That's a container registry name of Google, and then your name, and then your project name, and then your app name. So what's I'm gonna give my Python, our app name is Python dot app dash app. So let's start uploading. So if it's already pushing part is going to happen. So if you go here in your image registry, there would be a new one, and this is your image. So now you before we launch into our Kubernetes app, So there's a two file we need to go through. One called deployment, which is going to manage our deployment resources, how many replicas and things like that. Here in this image section is you need to replace with your in here in this situation. If you go here, show full command and this particular part. If you are using an image in Docker Hub, that would be very similar to you are putting this particular name. So that's need to be updated in the file that you are downloading from GitHub. And then there's another file called service, which is going to do the load balancing part on Kubernetes. So let me start. Before any of these, we need to start creating the Kubernetes cluster. So you can create a Kubernetes cluster in two ways. One is you can create it from your CLI command from here, Cloud Shell editor, or you can create it from here. So I'm going to show you both, guys. So if you click on the create, so let me take you from the beginning. So if Kubernetes cluster and then create, and it automatically goes for autopilot versions that by default. So we are not going to create autopilot version here. Actually since autopilot version versus standard version is a different, is that autopilot version will Google will take care of auto scaling and vertical and horizontal scaling with their policies, but we wanted to create a standard version where we defined how many nodes going to be there and auto scaling policy and things like that. So what from here you can switch to standard cluster. So switch to standard cluster, click on that. You can use the auto scaling cluster as well here, guys. It's no difference. The only thing that the Google will monitor, make sure that what are the resources going to be going to deploy. I'm going to do another video on this using auto scale method. So after this video, I'm going to create another video, so you can watch that video if you want to get a better understanding of how the autos pilot will work in Kubernetes in Google. So in here you can give your name and then select your regions, and then basically test the versions of Kubernetes. And if you go to the default for how many nodes you want, enable auto scaling and things like that, and then search upgrade, and then from here you can select the node type. So we are going to go with the smallest size, boot this side, and if you want a GPU or not, so you can put that, and then customer management key or whether Google managed key. We are not going to change any of this, guys. So networking with communication between the node, and then the security, we are using the default security account. Metadata, if you want to add anything, then automations. These are like a bit advanced stuff, so I'm not going to change any of those, guys. So I'm going to keep public cluster so that we can access. And then security, authorization stuff, RB, role-based access control. And if I'm working on an organization, this is something that I'm using it, workload identifications, and again metadatas, and then features such as TCU, and then things like that. So I'm not going to do enable any of those here, guys. I'm just going to click here create button. Let me make my app so that you can see the button. So I'm going to click on create here, guys. Or otherwise you can take this command and copy paste into your Cloud Shell as well. So let me click create. So this when you click submit, guys, it's going to take a bit of a time to create cluster. This meantime, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show how you can create a cluster in using the command line as well. So if you want to create a cluster, it's a simple command, guys. Don't worry, I'm going to share all of these command in my GitHub so that you can copy paste when you are trying by yourself. Let me show you. It's command called gcloud container clusters, and then create, and then you need to give your cluster name. So in my situations, I'm gonna say my cluster, and then dash dash. You need to give how many number of nodes you're gonna deploy. So in my case, I'm gonna say number of nodes equal 3, and then dash dash zone equal US dash central 1 dash say C. Let's make it A. So if I click OK, I'm gonna get an error saying that message permissions deny, location. Okay, my letters is wrong, guys, here, so let me correct that. So it should be central 1-A. So it start creating the cluster. So you can here in this command so insufficiency resource in the region, because I'm already creating a one. So what I can do is that I can change the region. So I'm gonna make it C, then should be fine, because I'm already still I'm getting error saying that I don't have enough resources guy here to create one. That because you can increase your quotation. I have only total GB required 300, but short of 100. I have only available 200. So what I can do is I can reduce my knob to make it 1, so that it will only get 100 GB. So that should do the trick, guys, here. That because in by default Google give you only 500 GB for your zone. You can increase, guys, if you needed that. In my situation, I'm not using that much of more than 500 GB for this particular project, so I won't be increasing that limit in quotation. So if I go here, you can see the second cluster also getting deployed here. Guys, I'm going to pause forward the video here because it will take a couple of minutes to create these clusters. Hi guys, now our both clusters are available. I'm going to show you something very important now. So let's say we want to get information about our cluster, these clusters. We using some language called kubectl, and to get the information about knob, which I explained at the beginning. So you need to type kubectl get nodes. So it will give in here. The most important thing is you can see only one knob information, because by default if you create a cluster using CLI, that's the one that is default going to refer. Even though we have two clusters, it's going to refer this my cluster one. So my cluster has only one knob. It will not refer this one that we creating using the console, which is as a 3 knobs. So what we can do is let's say I'm deleting this cluster. Type my cluster, delete, and then this cluster will go. So now if I type get node, So it's refusing, so it basically will not give you any information because that class is already deleted, getting deleted. And since we haven't opened if you want to access this cluster, you need to get the credential basically. Otherwise this will always give you an error unless you are creating using CLI. If you're creating using CLI, then it's by default that cluster you can access. If you in a second you will see, you will get like an error saying that it's a timeout error. It will not access any cluster, give you a node information. So you can see guys, here you get an error, unable to connect, timeout. So in order to do that, what we can do is to get access to the cluster that we create using the console, we can call gcloud container clusters get credentials, and then your cluster name. In our case is our cluster name called cluster 1. And then the zone we deployed the cluster, so that would be zone equal US Central C, Central 1-C. So I have again okay, so the cluster, it should be guys, my spellings is wrong here in the cluster section, so it should have been clusters. So get credential, again there's a spelling mistakes there. Let me correct it. Get credentials. So authentication happened guys. Now if I do kubectl get nodes, it will return three informations, three class node information, because we have a three in our cluster that we deployed using cloud console. So in any case that you want to change your cluster in CLI command, when you're accessing, if let's say you have several clusters, you need to use this command to make sure that you activate that get credential part, and then you can access that cluster. Now any of the command we are running, kubectl get nodes, it's going to access by default, it's going to access the one that we just got the credential. So let's try to access the node also here, pod also here. Let type kubectl get pod. So there's a no, so nothing is deployed yet, that's why you're getting this error. So in order to do the deployment part, so we are going to we need to apply this deployment part. So that will give you the pods, the containerized pod in our app. In this, it will create this pod part, and then after that we are going to use this service one to deploy the service, so basically the load balancer. So here let me take through this deployment YAML. It's just the app, and then how many replicas we want, and then this is the image, the where we have an image. So that information you can take it from, go to your image, Google Cloud image registry, and go inside this is the one we just created, and go show pull command, and then you need to copy paste whole this part, not this part, only this part. So after you upload all those information in here, this deployment file YAML, you can go to where you have uploaded this YAML file to Google Cloud. So in my case, it's in the project section, ls cd Kubernetes, ls cd hello world. So my deployment file YAML is here. So what I'm gonna do in order to deploy that, I'm gonna say kubectl apply -f and then file name deployment YAML. I just gonna enter, then it's gonna go to app created. Now if I get kubectl get pods, you will get a port information now. Earlier, even though we didn't have this, now we can get the port information because it start creating the port. Now next stage would be the creating the load balancer so that we can access the app. So for that we need to type on kubectl apply f service YAML. So it's going to create the service load balancer. So basically, if I take you through that also, it's a simple service load balancer. Basically, take the service app and then TCP, what's the ports, target, and that's all. Very simple one, guys. Here we give the container port and the target port here. So let's check whether our app is running now. We can type kubectl get service. So that's going to give you our external IP is still not deployed, so we need to wait. This is the port, and same time let me show you in the consoles what's going on. So this is our cluster. If I go to the service and ingress, this is where our load balancer coming. So basically now, guys, the service is available. If I go it here now, again type the same command, so you can see that externally IP address available. So what you can do, you can copy paste this one and run directly from there, or otherwise what you can do, you can go to the in the section cluster service and services and ingress. Go here as the same thing. You can see that public IP address and then the port 80. So if you click here, it will open in a new tab, the app, guys. Or otherwise what you can do is that you can take go here, you can take this one, copy paste, and then copy http, then double dash, and then the file and dub 80. So just type the port, so it will say hello world. So let me make it zoom, guys, so then you can see that hello world part. So that's how you can do. Let me show you from here as well. Let me copy, and then you can see that hello world. For some reason, guys, when I'm recording the video and I click on, it's not getting open here, but you can copy and then paste it here. It will load this hello world. That's all in launching the app, guys, here. So before you do anything, you need to make sure that you you can, if you want to get a better understanding of the app information, so you can go inside and see this cluster informations, what are auto scaling and all those information. But for this particular app, nothing major, guys. So this is where your computer clusters is. If you go to your Google Cloud G Cloud Compute Engine, you will see some machine running here, and then then storage, how many std, and then if you go to the log, you will see log here, and then observabilities, you can see how your computer is running, all this information as well. So what I'm going to do is guys, I am going to delete this cluster. Thank you for guys watching this video. Make sure you delete your resources, and see you guys on the next video.